seats open in the middle of you, so whoever comes in late, just move aside. So there's an empty seat over there, if you don't mind. Camera guy, is this good? All right.
Hello? So, for those of you that don't know, the place that we're at is called TUMO. It's named after the park that this structure is in called Tumanian Park, and the kids would call it TUMO. And Tumanian, Hovanes Tumanian, was a giant of Armenian poetry, and also children's literature, and also a lot of what I would call spiritual writing. And one of the things that he wrote, he said that there's peace after suffering, dawn will follow darkness, the exile will be freed, the expatriate will return, and this is enough. So we find ourselves back where most of us, back where we all emanated from, back to our roots. He also said, art has a homeland. And with that, I want to introduce Art. Art, John, come on up. And we're going to begin today with an amazing performance. Enjoy it, and we'll come back. So for those of you that don't know Artyom Manukyan, you can download his music off of iTunes. You can see these over here. He's one of the premier cello players. Actually, cello, bass, name it. He's an amazing musician. He's got a performance at, at Mezzo tomorrow night, right? Yes. Mezzo tomorrow night. If you guys want to see him in action, go check him out. All right, Nerses, you're up.
Hi everyone, please bear with me. I covered everything. So, thank you very much for being here. Quickly, I just want to let you guys know all the organizations that were involved in putting this week-long thing together. TUMO, Hive, Narnatus, the Markram Law Firm, Microsoft Innovation Center, if without you, none of this would have happened. Global Labs, which is put together the hackathon, UITE. I want to note Armenia's Winery. We had a lot of fun yesterday. Who had fun yesterday? Yeah, good. And La Cocina and Hotel Meg, which are also sponsoring the logistics, and which is where we're going tonight to continue the festivities. Tell your friends so that we can really have a big party tonight. So thanks for everybody that traveled here. I'm going to go through a little bit about what's going to happen today, just so it's a little bit more clear. We have 4 panel discussions, fireside chats. Pretend there's a fireside of this here. And they're casual discussion format with a moderator, and it's about discussing topics by entrepreneurs or by people who lead organizations about where we see things going. So what you can see behind me is this application called Pigeonhole, which is also donated their app to us to give it a try. Thanks, Pierre, for that. So if you go to pigeonhole.app to create together, what you'll see is a web app where you can enter each fireside chat Q&A and ask questions while the discussion's happening. And so that way the moderator can actually pick some of the questions that are coming from the audience and also include that in the discussion. You can upvote people's questions, and etc. Right now, I think we're at such a size that the moderator can actually quiz the audience if they want to. But this is another way, if you don't feel like standing up and speaking up, or just put the question in as things are going, and then you can comment, discuss, so that the Q&A can really continue on and have a life of its own after the 1 hour is over. In a similar fashion, we are having an ideation session. We want to give this a try and see if we can make this really fun. The goal behind the ideation session is to come up with ideas that we think are worthwhile solving, get people to solve it, get people to team up, discuss them, and then at the end of the day, we'll sort of go through some of the top ideas and the open questions that come up from that. So what we have set up is on the 4th floor. After the first fireside chat, you'll be able to access it. We'll put up a projector with all the ideas that people are submitting. Again, we're going to try this with Pigeonhole. So if you go to that URL, you will see 4 sessions, 4 idea sessions. One is on problems I'd like to solve. So yeah, if you think there's a critical problem or a critical idea that you have that you'd like to propose, enter it in there. You can comment, vote, and discuss. There's another idea session, which is a problem I want to volunteer. Maybe I'm a developer and I'm willing to put my time into that idea. So please enter it there. There's another QA session that says ideas I like to fund. So if you see things that are exciting that you're saying, I want to put my money behind this, whether it's a small fund to support a couple of developers, please put that in there. And then there's a 4th idea session, which is questions that I want to discuss at the end. So at the end of the day, we'll sort of discuss some of the questions that come up. So, and on the 4th floor, we'll be projecting these 4 discussions so that you can always see what other people are. You can see it on your phones as well, but we also project it on the 4th floor. The 4th floor we reserve for networking as well, so if you want to chat and discuss, and if it so happens that there's a chat happening, if you have a live discussion going on with a group, feel free to use the 4th floor. That way we don't interrupt your flow of conversation, and the fireside chat doesn't get additional noise from the side. So there's volunteers. I really want to thank them. Alexa, thank you for helping us find volunteers, and you have access cards. The only way to go up and down the elevators with access cards. So just ask them, and they'll be able to take you up and down the floor. So So at the end of today, we'll be after 3 p.m. We'll have a lunch break at 1 o'clock, 1 to 3, and then we have to move up to the 4th floor, all of us anyway, because the kids come here. This great institution, it is a Monday, so we'll do the last discussions on the 4th floor and finish with an open question session on the 4th floor. And right after that, we'll all head down to La Cocina, I hope. Again, tell all your friends. We really want to pack that place with 100 or so people. Everybody that comes throughout the rest of the day. We really want to go there and continue the discussions we've had today in a much more lively environment and really get to know each other. Unlimited drinks and unlimited food, and they're providing great music and entertainment. So I'm really excited about that. It's a great Italian restaurant. Now, after La Cocina, after we finish the festivities, we can actually, some of us are going to come back straight to this building. There's a hackathon that's been hosted at Pixar, which is on the other side of the same building. And we'll be starting at 1 a.m. and going until about 4 p.m., hacking ideas together, projects together, and then hopefully at 4 p.m. have some of them that have been finalized, and we'll go through a separate judging session, and then we'll award prizes, and then finish the day that way. And to thank Aaron Paul, the Carpet Restaurant. Now, tomorrow we also have 2 pitch competitions that are happening at 10 a.m. and at noon. There'll be late stage companies and early stage companies, sort of idea phase, and companies with some traction. So please come and listen. It'll be great for them to have an audience, critical audience. They can sort of feel the pain of having to really sell their ideas. Throughout tomorrow, in parallel with the hackathon and the pitch sessions, we'll have a bunch of smaller group, 20 and 60-person discussions happening around several topics. So there's a room here and a room back there. One holds about 60 people, one holds about 20 people. And we'll publish, the discussions are all published on Pigeonhole, but the times may change. So we'll finalize everything tonight and let everybody know. Again, not everybody gets to be in everything, just so when you're here, just pick one. Hopefully you'll get to go to the ones that work for you, that you enjoy. We have Rosnik Abnus, who you'll have a chance to talk about anything enterprise, anything analytics, and draw from his great experience in the field. You have Vahed Buzoyan, who will be talking about his experience. We'll be talking about how to build an MVP. I think it's called Patserats. He's here from Los Angeles, so he'll have a QA session. We have Eric Pell, who'll be doing a QA session on UX design. He's the head of UX at Rakuten Manga, and he's here from US, via France. We have the Teamable team, who's going to talk about the journey of Teamable. We have the Shadowmatic team, Ana and Bagra, talking about the Shadowmatic experience, how they won the award, and how they spent months at the Apple 8 headquarters. So you'll have a chance to really ask questions and sort of know how things are. And also, Faron and Arman will be teaming up to give you guys a demo and talk about virtual reality and augmented reality. I think it'd be a fun exercise. 2 entrepreneurs from 2 sides of the world. We'll give you guys a taste of that. So, and the Markarian law firm, Armin Markarian, will have a session on the legal aspects of forming a company. I think a lot of people, especially people pitching, are close to the stage of having to incorporate and And so a lot of you may have questions, how do I incorporate here in the US, how does all that structure work? So, you know, we have a law firm that can actually answer those questions and give you that time as well. And they'll also be sponsoring 2 entrepreneurs from the pitch and the hackathon, their full fees and filing fees and legal fees if they decide to go on and start a business. So really helping everybody start their careers in entrepreneurship. So thank you for giving me this time. And now we get to go to the fireside chat, to our first discussion. Great, we have a hello world, and we have, yes, Wi-Fi and password, so that's fantastic. And I would encourage people to start asking questions, and we can just pick from the screen right here. So Todd will be moderating, and should I let you introduce the rest of the panelists? Or, okay. So Todd is moderating. He's the founder of Digital Pomegranate. And thank you for taking the time. We have Austin from SFL. We have Fahed from Service Titan. We have Khachatur from G-Taxi. I believe those are our panelists. And the topic is solving local challenges. You know, how. Please come down.
Yeah. So now that Armand is here, I would like to actually add Armand to our fire chat. Armand Atoya, come on, because this guy's great, because the topic today is how to use technology to solve challenges. And he created, him and his team created one called Citybugs, which won an award in Brazil. It's one of the most innovative ideas in the world. So, welcome, thanks. That was a surprise. So I guess everyone else come on down, we can get started, please. I'm trying to figure out how to use pigeon. Got it. Let's go and get together. So again, my name is Todd Fabacher, and today's initial topic is for the fireside chat is how we can use technology to solve particular issues, not only within Armenia, but all around for the world. So I guess the first question, I would like to really break it down into 2 parts, like in the global aspects of like how can technology do it and what's your opinion, and then specifically what are some things. You know, because I'm a business person, I really want to focus on some real executables that we can do to actually help Armenia itself. So the first thing is I'd like to have Armand speak. Okay, so if we want to start, if you maybe you just introduce yourself real quick, sort of like what you do, and in a sense of how is something in your mind, you know, what is for one specific thing that you think that you do on a daily basis that you know can sort of, how technology can make a difference?
Okay, my name is Khachatur. I'm the co-founder of GG Taxi. Soon we will rename it to, we already renamed it to GG. I think technology can change many things. And when we're starting, nobody believes that in year 1 it will be a common thing to order a car via smartphones. Yes, nobody believes that drivers will agree to buy a smartphone to do these orders. Nobody believes that it can be profitable business starting from Yerevan. But 1.5 years passed, and now everyone believes that it's possible. So there's a lot of other ideas that is possible to do right now in our city, which has 1 million population, but nobody does anything. I guess there are people who are trying to do something, but there's a lot of other subjects that has this marketplace, that has these users, but there very few teams are trying to solve real problems. There's a lot of teams that want to create some game and be successful worldwide. A lot of teams are creating right now some B2B applications that they think they can get those customers in US or somewhere else, but they are not seeing the problems which are very near to them. But when you solve problems for example, for 1,000 people in your city, that means that you can do this business in any other city in the world. And this is reality. I'm sure that, for example, our project can become a regional leader, and even one day we can compete with Uber in different cities around the world. But it's a challenge. You should get new challenges and you should win them. Something like this.
Okay, great. So let's take, for example, so in a sense, we've used technology to create, in a sense, of entrepreneurism. So people that would have never gone into their business together. And then I can come up to Service Titan. So Service Titan, I'll let him explain the app, but in a sense, we're using technology to foster entrepreneurism, in a sense, because so many people, for example, in our media industry, they work in the factories, they work in the, essentially it's a common system, but so how do you foster entrepreneurship? How do you foster individuals to create their own company? By creating online marketplaces and creating software apps that allow them to create their own business with a minimal amount of capital or minimal amount of investment. If we could talk about Service Titan, sort of, for example, like how do you use that, or how can technology foster entrepreneurism? That would be great.
Hi everyone. So Service Titan, we make software for plumbing companies, electrical companies, air conditioning repair, small businesses. And we do kind of everything from booking, scheduling, billing, so on and so forth. It's kind of an all-in-one solution. The way we started was my dad, who's a plumber, 7, 8 years ago, asked me to find him software, and I thought, I'll spend a couple of weeks, I'll Google some stuff, and I'll move on with my life. So 8 years later, still working on the same problem, and it was the type of thing where I didn't really realize frankly, what I was doing when I first started. Like, I had no idea. And I saw a problem, and then I got deeper into the problem, and it got deeper and deeper. It kind of, this year we raised $18 million, and we're about 100 people now, based out of Glendale. And so what we're seeing is, in terms of your question of where's the opportunity for technology to come in, I think I'm reminded of what Robert Kennedy said. He said, some people look at things the way they are and they ask why. I look at things the way they should be and ask why not. And I think from a technology perspective, that's the way I look at it, is we can envision what the world is today, what it can be, and then the question is, how do we get there? And with technology and the cost of production going down, that answer is becoming more accessible to more and more people. So the question is, how do we empower that? How do we foster that? And how do we accelerate that here? But fundamentally, that's how I would characterize that all.
Do you have something to add? Hi, everyone. Introduce yourself.
My name is Arsen Georgian. I started a company named SFO 2 years ago. And we started being a software development company, and we have a great technology team of 30 people here in Yerevan, and 68. And the last couple of years, we're trying to move, being a service company, to build a specific product and move to market both locally and globally. And we have a funny, it's not funny, we have a story of building some service for Armenia that we solve problem for ourselves. So that's how technology, we see the problem that we have, and we try to solve the problem that we face every day. And it turned out that the problem, I'm talking about a website called rate.am, which we created for Armenia. It's a one-page website which shows exchange rates from all banks in Armenia. So it automatically replaced every 3 minutes. So Armenia is really dependent from current exchange currency, because we have a lot of money coming on and out from countries, from Russia, US, etc. And people are really dependent from this, from the currency, right? And it's funny, we published the website, and we created the website in a week for ourselves. And it turned out that 100,000 people, literally 100,000 people, so we have 100,000 people every day coming to the website from Armenia. For such a small country as Armenia, and it's a big number. And the impact of technology that we have in society was that half of the banks hate us, half of the banks love us, because the banks that have exchange rate really big margin between buying and selling, they really hate us because now people see that they don't work and they don't provide a good service. And the banks have who has a good service, they start to love us because we really change that in the market. And people just go to bank and show the rate and say, give me my a better rate. And what happened in Armenia, if you see that they are looking for exchanges over the years. Like 5 years ago, the margin between buying and selling was, let's say, 15, 20 grams. Nowadays, it's 2 grams, 1 gram, 1.5 gram even, you know. So the margin really goes smaller and smaller, and people really get benefits from that. And how we see the problem, how we solve that, it was a local problem, and we had that problem ourselves. We figured out that we solved that problem for ourselves. Probably it would be a lot of people who have the same problem. And technology enabled that to do that, like make it published, make it visible for everybody. So, yeah, and that's a great example how we can bring ideas or day-to-day problems that we have and solve them through the technology, and especially for local purpose. Unfortunately, Armenia is a small country and scaling is not the case in this particular example. Yeah, but this is a really good example that we can, even in a small country, small community, we can enable technology to help people in day-to-day activities. Yeah, for us it's not so commercial project, we just publish it and someone has an I don't know how it's going on there. But still, it's working, and again, every day we have about 100,000 people there, and mostly from Armenia, so it's still a great example.
That's great, thank you so much, that's a really great idea. Also, so I want to introduce Arman. So Arman, just to let you know, he can, so let me go ahead and introduce CityBugs, and I'm sure he probably came up with the same reason how he can help himself, and how now he's actually changing the world.
Hello everyone, my name is Arman. I am founder of X-Tech and Darbuka. So this is not my panel, I just appeared here by the invitation of the dog. But I'm still going to discuss the topic that maybe Vahan will discuss, because right now they have created a consortium for e-government projects. And the CityBugs is one of the projects that want to participate with this consortium. And the idea of the CityBugs, it was, in the beginning it was just a social startup, just to create a tool where every citizen can speak about some social problems when they are meeting in their daily lives in the city. So at the beginning, no one outside of our team doesn't believe that this is going to work. And they are just telling us you are wasting the time by creating this tool. But as a result, we created a tool. We finally get the government to work with us, because we made strong push to them with over the different medias and social media. And currently, if you will visit our website, you can see the governmental logo is there, and they are in charge to answer to every problem that is addressed in the website. So after that, we have partnered with the different organizations, and they ask us to scale up the platform to Gyumri, Vanat, and Armavir. Later on the project, we have submitted project in different contests, and the project gets a lot of interest. It won the European Youth Awards. Next, it won the World Summit Youth Awards, and after that, we created the platform for the São Paulo. Now actively working to find the partners there who will contribute the content. So the project here is...
So let me introduce, what you basically do is, if you're walking down the street and you see a pothole, it's a really great app. You take a picture of the pothole, and it uses the GPS, and then it sends it to the city, and the city automatically will have it where it is, what is the issue. You embarrass people if people leave their trash out in the front of their house, you can take a picture. And you can do a whole variety of things to do this. And so it's really grassroots. Maybe I can look up here, because I can't get it to work on my phone. So I just want to let you know sort of what it is. Think of it as like Facebook for CityBugs. I'm sorry.
So this is the example where we have tried to use technology to solve the social issues in our cities. And right now the platform is getting a lot of interest. Currently, we are discussing, our partners discussing this project with the Vienna government. We are trying to take the project to Austria and different other cities. We have created for Canada. You can access toronto.citybugs.org. And right now, there is still discussions with the local NGOs to take this platform to outside of Armenia. So this is the project idea. In the beginning, as I mentioned, it was social, but right now it's turning type of business. And in a good case, if we will just imagine that if we can integrate, for example, 100 cities, and there is of course subscription type of fees, this is going to turn to a good business in the term. And we have decided to separate this from Nextech as a separate startup company from our company.
Yeah, there's a funny story that you don't know about. Like we have office of 1,000 square meter, and one of our guys says, listen, probably we create some kind of office bags, like city bags, inspired from your project, because we have, let's say we have some problems in the office, somewhere something doesn't work, somebody doesn't have something, probably we create some kind of office bag, and like take your project as a basis. People can just make some photos or submit some suggestion how to improve the office, because you know when it becomes bigger you have problems and the office managers, they don't have time to manage themselves, and it's important to get back information, right? So people come up with the idea, maybe we ask Arman to change this project, instead of city bag, make it office bag, and then we can just adopt it for our office. Just one story, I just recall about that, maybe we can talk about that.
Sure, we can discuss after the session.
And making a business of that.
That's wonderful. So at Digital Pomegranate, so for example, I'll give you an example of what Digital Pomegranate did. At Digital Pomegranate, we wanted to do something. We had a little hackathon to try to increase programming in humor. And so I challenged the team to come up with something that would really make a difference in their local city. They came up with a great idea called the Gilbert Walking Tour. And so they had a goal to create $500,000 of economic activity. So I said, fine, every Friday you can do what you want, and they created a walking tour. And so now if you go to Gyumri, you can actually, we did a little deal where we're working with the train company, and you can download the app. When the train arrives in the morning, you walk around downtown Gyumri. I know we've got like almost 4-star rating, and I think we've had over like about 3,000 downloads. And it'll take you through the city and the history and stuff like that. The good news, and again, this is the great thing with city bugs and everything, you can really help your local city and your local, whatever it is. We're now turning that into an app, and we actually are now being contacted by Carnival Cruises, so that like when the cruise company lands at the port, they'll even have they'll have a walking tour. And we're actually on the path to become the #1 tour app builder in the world, just from our desire to help our local city. So you can definitely still turn it into a profit, which is my main focus. So, but that doesn't mean that you can't help. So let's go through some questions. Unfortunately, it's not working on my I try to get the pigeonhole working, something's not right. So if we can start looking so here's a real question. Let's go with number, how many votes? GG Taxi. How did you get car drivers/taxi drivers on board?
There's a lot of people right now, they are standing near office and we haven't time to register all of them. I mean, at the beginning we were walking around the city and offering our program to drivers, but nobody understands what we are talking about, and they say that we have smartphones, but right now, yesterday when we come to the office at 10 o'clock in the evening, there's three persons who are wanting to register, and we tell them that please come tomorrow. So we haven't that problem. A lot of people want, and there are a lot of people who we say them that you are not so good to be in this system, and they go to Mobi Taxi right now. So that's it.
Okay, great. So there's another question, so we can go through each one. How many staff do each of you have in Armenia now, and how many do you expect to have in the next 3 years? Is that off topic? We can just hit that one real quick. So how many staff do we have, each of us have in Armenia, and how many do we expect in the next 3 years?
Right now we have 15 people, 5 for development and 10 for business cases, yes, and in nearest 3 years, I can't say for 3 years, but I see next year we will have, for example, 30 or 35. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, right now we have, like we mentioned, we have about 70 people here in Armenia, and we opened a subsidiary of our company in the United States now. And it's not a subsidiary of United States company in Armenia, but Armenian subsidiary in the United States, and we have just a couple of them. We have plans to grow here up to 100 people here. The main pain with grow is technology, and technology people are always in demand, and if we are trying to solve that, I was talking to guys and mentioned that we have 70 people now in the company. I was looking at the list, and we have another 70 who went through the company during these 5-6 years. So these people just get on board, learn, and then they start their companies, they move to other companies. But if we solve that problem in a good way, then I think companies will have really big growth.
So unfortunately, we had 5 people in Armenia. That didn't work out. We're down to 0 now. So
let's be frank. What was the major issue? Not that that's a discussion.
Sure. I'm not really sure. I mean, we haven't really dissected it. It's either going to be poor management on our end or poor execution on their end, or a combination of those. We just didn't get the results we were hoping for. But, to the point, what would I like to have in 3 years? As much as possible. I'd love to have, we have 25 in Russia. I'd love to have 25. I'd love to have 100 in Armenia. But, that's why I'm here.
Exactly, great. So we started with 3 years ago. We're up to about 18 now, and those are full-time, and then we have now just signed on 44, we have 44 interns. So what we do is we have an internship program, and we usually, by the time we go through each phase, we whittle them down to about half. It's paid internship, and then so my goal within 3 years will probably be well over 200.
So right now we are 25. But in the future we are going to grow, because right now with our Lupa, this is one of the startups that we have created by Xtech. This is like immersive technology, this augmented reality and virtual reality. Here we need to move fast, so we are going to hire young kids, and that's why this week we are going to discuss the possibility to work with the TUMO, and after this session in 2 p.m. I am giving the presentation to Hive School. We are going to open there the group. It might be called our Lupa, and we are going to grow these young kids to be engaged with these technologies. So maybe next year we will be like 50.
Just one comment. It's not only about number in the companies, but it's also about how labor market is being changed in technology. I mean, here in Armenia too. If 5 years ago we were looking only, let's say, mostly for technology people, programmers, etc. Last year we hired 6 product owners and we have 4 UX designers. So market itself being changed, and we organized last year we had a special program with a couple of companies. We had a special program with Hive School again. Every week they come, they visiting us, like 10 girls and boys. And the main idea to explain them that technology market is not only about programming. It's not only like some kind of nerd with who is hugging a server, but it's a really big variety of professions, and they can move to technology not only being a programmer, but design, consulting, project management, etc., etc. So that's also important to figure out that not only the quantity is being changed in the market, but the quality of the people and the type of the specialties that on demand now in the market.
I have a quick question. I'm not on Pigeonhole, so sorry. Have you guys, I mean, we have Iran that's right next door, you know, friendly relationships. Iran produces, I think next to the US, it produces the most engineering talent, programming talent, very cutting edge universities there. And we have Georgia to the north of us. Do you guys see any opportunities to attract developers and designers and what have you from these countries? Have you thought about it at all? The question that I'm curious about.
Well, really good question. 3 years ago, we decided that because our developers, they are moving to Europe, to US, and other countries, and we just ask ourselves, are there any country in the world that people and technology people can be interested to come into Armenia? We were looking around, we've been in Georgia, we were in Iran, and we were looking for Syria at that time, and we looked at India too. So it's really good experience, it's also a fun experience. I had I did 60 interviews through Skype of Indian guys. What we did, we hired a HR agency in India. They do some preliminary screening, and then we had like doing some Skype interview, technology interview. The short story is that we didn't hire anybody from India because we figured out 2 things. It's really not true that India is cheap. That's what we figured out. If you want to hire a good developer in India, it will cost as much, even more, than it costs in Armenia if you are talking about the cost perspective, cost quality. Yeah, so that's what we figured out. So it was good for us because when we're working with different customers, there's, okay, India, Egypt, okay, we say, go India. You want to go India? Go India. But the problem that we have with India, surprisingly for us, language, English language. Indian language is a little bit different than our language and a little bit different than general English language. That's what we figured out for ourselves. So finally, the story is that we bring 3 guys from Iran. For Iranian guys, Armenian market is attractive. Salaries are pretty much similar here in Iran, and they have good universities and they have good quality. We bring Iranian, just to make sure, it's not about Armenian in Iran, it's Iranian guys. Like Mohammed, Hedayat, Morteza, these guys now in our office. And we have a good positive result because it's not only about bringing people here, but also about bringing new culture here, bringing new language in the company, like in their day-to-day communication. Particularly for Georgia, we tried. But two things. Georgia itself, they don't have a big pool of technology people. Second, the pool also, cost-wise, there is no reason to bring these people here. We moved our business to Georgia. That is not something which works with our strategy. So the only country that worked with us was Iran and Syria, but Syria has another reason. So that's the story.
In our case, I think I should get an Armenian developer in Armenia first before I run. But one of the things that I noticed that was different this time than the last time I was here, which was 7 years ago, there's a lot of non-Armenians around. And you just walk around, you see
one right there.
Yeah, right there. And that was just for me walking around the city, and I thought that was a really healthy sign. I thought that's a really powerful signal that other people are now coming here just to walk around. I think similarly, if we were to look 3-5 years in the future, if in IT we have a lot of non-Armenians working in IT in Armenia, I think it'll be a very strong signal that we're doing something right.
So I think, to also stay on topic, one of the things that we could really do, and there's, for example, the second one up there with 4 votes is the challenge is finding developers in Armenia. There are many, so there would be a whole discussion within itself. But I think how can we help, or how can the technology help, is education. The real challenge is education, because it's supply and demand. We were having a discussion, you can't stop the outflow, and eventually it's going to come back, but that's going to take some time. And so really, the solution for a lot of the people is education. So how can technology help technology companies and help solve a real huge problem? I was talking with Armenia, who's head of co-op, and his solution was really simple: online education. We have to create, or somehow in Armenia, and there's several companies that do it, we have to create a really strong sense of online education where people can learn how to program in the villages and the smaller towns. I mean, I say this over and over again, you cannot have a city-state. Your entire country cannot be Armenia. So you have to, we could use online, sort of pulled together through some type of industry organization, or starting with here, but we could reach out and educate people and allow people to learn how to code. I mean, that's what we're doing. We don't hire programmers. We hire creative people. We have greater success hiring from the fine arts school than we do the programming school. We just teach them from scratch.
At the current moment, we are not looking for other markets. I strongly believe that there is a lot of resources here that we should put to create our own, let's say, to help Armenian youngsters to get into this field. So our effort mainly is going that way. And mostly, I can say that 90% of the people from our company, we are hired them from TUMO universities, other places, and they are learning by doing. We are putting them inside of the with more experienced guys, and they are starting to learn by doing something. So the near future, we will try to empower them.
Just to touch on one thing you mentioned about teaching programming, one of the stories I always like to share is there was a one laptop per child project, and so one of the interesting anecdotes from that was there was a village in Nigeria or some African country, and they brought in these laptops that had handheld chargers because there's no electricity and whatnot. And so they passed out these laptops to this village, and they literally just left. They just gave them laptops and they left. And these were, Linux custom-made OSs that had some special stuff to them. And they came back a few months later. And so these kids that had, they couldn't speak English, they were in a village in Africa, no electricity. They came back a few months later, and those kids had hacked the laptops. They had not only figured out how to use them, but they'd gone in and they changed some stuff. And so, if that's possible under those conditions, what's possible here with the advantages that we may have over them? So I think it's an interesting area.
No, it's definitely it's also self-interest. So the real question is, as Alois said, how can you help others by helping yourself? Which is, actually we did like an IGUMI conference, and we had, as you remember, I talked about it because he had spoken in LA, and I watched the video on YouTube, and he's like, how can you help yourself help others? And it really inspired me, and that's why I did the conference and what we're doing. And another area that I think the real focus is we're not getting into macroeconomics, but it has to be technology, because the ability to create factories here, production and things like that is going to be very, very difficult. So I really think, besides health and biotech, some other things, but technology is basically it. I mean, this is it, and so it should definitely be a focus. Another question came up here. The Armenian-based companies support difficulties from the government. I, for one, actually have had nothing but help. To be honest, I'll be perfectly straight up. They have been nothing but gracious to me, kind. The mayor, the governor of the province came to my office one time and basically said, I know people are going to tell you have any problem. If anyone ever comes, here's my name, here's my number, you call me. They have been nothing but kind, helpful. They have, if you want to open up as a non-Armenian citizen, they have a one-stop office. You just walk in one office. There are 5 desks for each of the different industries you have to go to. The only thing you have to put your thumbprint. Okay, fine. But other than the thumbprint, which I thought was a little weird, other than that, you're good. That's it. One office, you're done in a day. I think you have to put in like $5,000 capital in a bank account. then you're done. I mean, it's zero. I mean, we got audited, you know, other than even the audit, but that happens everywhere. You know, our local partner here is like, oh, they're auditing us. Nah, no problems. You just audited, we got picked, they went through our books, and that was it. So I haven't had any issues at all. Okay, I don't know if other people want to say.
Well, yeah, probably if you compare technology with other sectors, there are less problems than other. We either didn't have, always when I'm saying these words, I'm trying to find the wood and say touch the wood. We didn't have problem, we haven't had problems so far too yet, thank you. So we will continue like that. Probably companies who are busy with import, export, maybe they have some small issues from time to time, but these problems are already known and they're being solved. Different organizations like UIT or like non-profit organizations trying to help them. Yeah, but in general, the summary is that really we don't have also any problem and no pressure. I mean, in a micro level. If you take the macro level, like countrywide and the general situation, well, we would like to have a better business environment, but still, specifically for technology, no issue, and no pressure, no problem, and vice versa. They're trying to solve and
I'd like to add, if you do a startup, now we're too large, but this also includes foreign companies. They have a 3-year grace period where the first 3 years, if you have less than 20 people, you don't pay, I think it's like 5% taxes.
It's like you don't pay the VAT, you don't pay the profit tax, and most importantly, hamաձայն հարթակից. Income tax for people, not for companies. So, which is most important tax to companies like ours, because we have higher salaries than in Armenia. The biggest tax type that we pay is the income tax, and instead of 35%, it's about 10%, which is most important thing. So, it's a good law for startups, probably not for companies like us, because we are more than 30 people, and we invest a lot of money in education, and people get trained in our company, then they left because somehow we are not in the same level with startups because of this law. But for startups, it's a good law.
We haven't any problem from government until now. I hope we will have it in future too. But yes, but I think the government isn't the main case for doing the business. I think that it will be great if we have a better environment, as you say, but the main thing is 12%, yes, how much you will pay the taxes. And Armenia is the very good place for doing business in IT sphere, I think. Because the main capital is human resources, and we have these human resources. But human resources are limited, and our main problem isn't the government. Our main problem is population. It's very small, so we have to have more people here. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, if the tech industry is 20% of the GDP, I would probably say, you know, education-wise, it's probably only, even today, it's so popular, still only 2 or 3% of education. Most of the people go study physics and things like this. So I think from the government perspective, if they could really help, it would be a refocus and not make the only language available at universities Pascal. You know, I mean, that's really, not that Pascal is a bad language, but I mean, it's a good starter language, but that's not, it cannot, just because the professors, that's the only language the professors know. I mean, they really have to get flexible. So from that perspective, I think that's really good.
I think here the question should be like more artists in the field than not with the good companies. We are also like doing good in that terms. Like we are able to even make some appointments to meet like Ministry of Education and pitch some project that we are going like implement or something. So there is no. They are kind of, I think they are understanding that the IT field is something different. The people there is, and their relations to us is also different than to other fields. But I think here we should have to push them more in terms of education, like to do better education in universities, or we should push them to create the better environments, to create, for example, low-cost office spaces in city center where startups can go to be there. So in their terms, I think we should push them for more support, and that's normal that we are not seeing the problems from that side, I think.
Another thing I would like to bring up for us, we're different than most other Armenian companies. We are probably about 90% women. I think one of the issues with a lot of Armenian companies is that it's a very male, and because it also comes from the U.S., it's not much better in the U.S. either. I mean, I live in New York, and my company, even myself, my company in New York, it's a room full of guys and a handful of girls that sort of cluster in the corner just so they don't have to listen to us all. But here, we found that the women are far more productive, they're smarter, they work harder. So I think it's also another thing that we as an industry can help people if we focus on, not so much even just basically empowering them to say, yes, you can do it. I mean, we did at a hackathon a year ago, and we were the first time a woman had ever entered the contest. And you should see the face on the guys when the all-female team won. I mean, they were looking at each other like it was impossible. But they won. And so it's definitely, I think it's not really brought up that often, but another thing that the tech companies could do, because how to help yourself to help others, is really focus the education, focus in a sense, telling them that they can do that. Because a lot of the people that we get, they start off in art school because that's what their parents told them to do. And when we say you can actually become a programmer, they're like, really? And then we tell them they can, and we start them off in like doing WordPress sites, and then now all of our tech programmers are all women.
Well, both women and men and women in our company, 40%, about 40% women and 60% are men. The average age is 27 years old, so pretty much young. Yeah, it's not only about this ratio, but we figure out that if you have more women in the company, guys work more productive. That's what we figure out. Somehow that I heard that a couple of weeks ago, I read that the Chinese companies, I don't know, read the article, Chinese companies hiring specifically really nice young girls to work in the software companies and play a ping pong with the programmers because it increased the motivation and inspiration of all the guys. So it's not only about real technology stuff that female bring on board, but it's also creating an environment where men become more productive. So that's
no, I'm all focused on money. I don't worry about that. So I'm all about productivity.
So yeah, that's the story.
I opened up an office in China. You don't want that. They'll keep the lunch. So here's a question. So for City Bucks, have you researched your competition? What differentiates you? City Sources has similar apps at U.S. cities. How do you stay ahead of the competition?
I think that's a traditional question for every type of product, like every type of product. You can find any product which have something before it. Like, I'm sure when the Google opens, there was another search engines and there was a lot of them, but no one of them exists. Like with the City Bucks, there is the same story. Like we came to this idea during the hackathon. The name of the hackathon was like to create IT solutions for your city. And we have came to idea to create like bug tracking system. If there is like engineers, developers, you will know like a Mantis. It's a bug tracking system for the development companies. And we have that in mind, like to create the Mantis for the city, like where the people are developers, the government are developers, and people are like QA. They are funding issues, they are reporting about them. So of course there is a lot of products could be in the market, but we are not afraid of that. Like this is normal. Like, this is competition. We should put more efforts to create more specific functions, maybe, or to create like more better like UX in the mobile app and so on.
Yeah, just a comment about that. Sergey Belosov, a guy from Russia, from Runa Capital, he once I had a meeting with him, he said really great thing that I remember. If you find out an idea, so you have an idea and you don't have any competition, and it's a really unique idea. It means only two things. Either you are really genius and you are just creating new ecosystem, new industry, or you find out something which nobody needs. So nobody needs it. Whenever you do something and there is a competition under this kind of idea on the market, I think it's good, and it means that you can find a specific thing which improves that idea rather than radically change. So if you have some competition in the market, I think it's a good direction to move rather than to inviting something from the scratch. So
I can comment there also. I think if we will not create the Bobby taxi, the Gigi taxi will not start pushing more functions and so on and so on. So that's the normal. And it's good to have the competition, because right now, for example, we are, it's not our own projects. We are, as an IT company, providing this like service. And once Gigi is developing more functions, the Bobby taxi is pushing us to put there more functions. And this is good for the market, of course. If this company will be alone in the market, never knows what will happen with them. So this is good.
When I was telling a story about this rate.am, Chatur just told me, you remember, after 6 months you launched the rate.am, I make a clone of your projects. That's what he told me. And so it's always like that. So.
Yeah, and that's actually happy here. The other question here is you both have, currency.am and rate.am. And that's it. I mean, that's what it really is. It's just, it's like a banyan tree. It's just one, the roots grow, and another one comes, and another one comes. And we were at the ARM Tech Congress in Stanford University, and there was one of the professors there from Stanford, and he got up and they said, what was the number one advantage that you taught? He said, well, I just taught everyone not to be afraid to have people quit and go start their own company. He said, we ingrained that into education and prepped everyone that said, that's just the culture. And once you create that culture, it's done. And then the former prime minister the next year basically said the number one thing we have to teach in Armenia is two things. One, to allow people just to move because they're going to move. And two, to accept failure. It's just the way it is. Being able to accept failure is part of the things that they need to teach. Not that it's great, but you have to be able to accept it because it happens. And it's happened to me before.
A comment on that topic, because this is really interesting. From our company, like from the X-Tech, we have 6 spin-offs, like 6 startups. And the question is coming, why people are moving? I'm always answering because of the culture. We are trying to show that it's possible to do, and when they are growing enough, they are understanding that they can do. And with all of them, I have like great relations. Like all of them yesterday visited our booth at the Digitech, and the relations are really great because I'm understanding that here we have other challenge. We should try to like start up the nation. We should make the IT revolution globally, not just for one company to big leader and have everyone working for him. So this is thanks.
I'll just share my experience when we first started. I found like over 50 different products in our exact same category, and I think the way to look at it is it's not so much the quantity of competition, it's within the scope of the opportunity, how much of the opportunity has been captured already, because many times it might be a lot, but there's a whole lot that hasn't been captured yet. And then also, it's much better to go against a lot of small competition than against one giant. So when there is no 800-pound gorilla in any space that you're in, the competition is actually a good signal. It shows that there's a need there that's pulling these companies in, and now it's a matter of who's the best one.
I spoke at BarCamp about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, and that was exactly what I said. I said, find a marketplace with 10 competitors, do a whole list, and then do a list, then find 3 things that none are in the list, and that's it. As a matter of fact, we're actually pitching today. One of our great, our lady, Guyane, came up with a great idea, and she's going to pitch it today. So that was the whole idea. She did her research, she found an app, and she found 3 things. She did research. That was an interesting thing. She actually sent surveys to companies and found out what would be different. She got her 5 things, and hopefully she'll win the pitch contest. So. The other question that comes up is how did everyone get funded? I got funded from my back wallet. So I'm funding everything myself between my wife and I. So.
We did a few stages of funding. The first stage of funding was a close contact one of us had. During the second stage of funding, we actually got funding from a bunch of Armenians, and the major component was from an Armenia in Russia. So, you know, it's kind of counterintuitive, but in our case, the funding came from this area to America. You know, usually it's the other way around. And then that led into the Bessemer and Series A round too. So, you know, it's not always obvious where the sources of funding might come from.
Yeah, our case is more simple. We started as a service company with my partner. We signed our first contract and bought computers. Then we organically just grow and fund ourselves. And now, because we do product-based, we have enough resources to build a product like MVP. And I'm not calling MVP. I like the MVP like the minimum viable product. I really like to say minimum desirable product. That's how we change that word. So we are building the MVP ourselves, but after that, definitely we are looking for traditional funding sources like venture capital and etc. So we don't need to have a stage of family and friends because we have enough resources and enough capacity ourselves internally to do that. But definitely, if you move to market, especially global market, yeah, we do need to approach to the standard or known fund sources.
We were a service company starting from 2012. So, but when we have decided to build Gigi Taxi, we have around from our friends and family a small amount of money, and then we are bootstrapping. We were doing other jobs and earning money that way by outsourcing. And after 1 year of operating in Yerevan, we have had money from Presentatus Ventures and Suren Markosyan from San Francisco. Wazgen from TUMO introduced me to Suren, and Suren liked our product, but it takes 6 months for him to decide to invest in our project. That's it.
I believe that most of the IT companies in Armenia are starting from service type, so they are starting to do the services. And in our case, like we became our own investors. Part of the team is making money, the other part is like they are doing the different types of products. And in this term, I think we are still good. Like before we came into the stage when we need really investment. For starting something, you really don't need any money. Like you can start from very basic. You can just get some computers. Like we have started with 2 PC computers with $2,000 owned from friends, and that's it. So there's no need to stay and wait until someone will give you money. So yesterday was game contest that I was in jury, and one very young guy is telling, okay, this is our project. We are looking for investment. I'm like, no, you are there. You don't need investors. Just go and create something, and later on, if it's really good, someone will find you to discuss it with them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just no, there's another topic. I want to come back to the topic of local challenges and solving this problem. Look, Armenian market is small market. If you are talking about our market, right? There are 3 million people in the country, so there are a lot of, from one hand, from technology, the market is really crucial and the scalability is crucial. That's the power of technology, right? So from that perspective, Armenian market is not interesting market. But Armenian market is a good market to try something, like do something locally, having a global vision. That's really great. But trying to solve local problems, because the good thing here in our market is that the competition is not so high, and you can probably try yourself. And it's really good market for small teams, because for big teams, the return on investment is higher, and the market does not allow you to get that mature. So for small teams, for students, and a lot of problems that can be solved here in the Armenian market. Then, if it works, people can think about the spreading out.
But that's what we did with the walking tour. We solved the problem for Gyumri. We created, we helped it,
exactly.
And we'll probably do almost $180,000 next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, a lot of the small opportunities, like everybody is just creating, let's say, job websites, right? Like publish the job announcements. But no any company in Armenia doing HR software from other side, like our HR managers spending hours and hours to pushing these announcements to all these 10 websites. If some student create a small software that allow us to push a button and submit this not to monster.com or I don't know dice.com, which is in the US, but our local websites like Career Center and Jobs. So it's a small opportunity for a small team. But this really small, that is really opportunity which can become bigger and then move to change the idea and then transform to another idea. But these kind of small things are not sold in the Armenian market, which sold already in the US or Europe market. So what I want to say is that yes, it's really great to think globally, to see globally, but start locally. Especially for small teams, for students, it's a really good opportunity.
Yeah, and on my own observation, having been in this business for, if you talk about my gray hair, over 30 years, one of the things is I saw this a lot in Taiwan and in China when I was there, and actually in India. And you saw a migration from OEM to branded products. Ace is a good example and things like this. Just this panel alone, you've seen the migration. Almost all of them started off as service companies, and they're now beginning to move to their own brands. So again, when we were having dinner the other night, someone said, what's the best thing that, where should we focus? PR and marketing. So my experience has said that as an industry, one of the things that we can really help Armenia is not only ramp up education in terms of the tech, but the PR and the marketing. And that's also, we've had dinner before and we've spoken about it, salesmanship. I have a US company, but my sales team is actually here, and we are training people to be sales directors here. We've got someone that speaks Spanish, we've got someone that speaks French, and we are developing that local talent here. And that's another thing that I think we as an industry can really benefit Armenia is focusing on PR, because PR and sales marketing, it's so woven together through social media and such stuff. Any comments on that?
Yes, when someone tells me that our market is very, very, very small, I think it's a nonsense, because we have 1 million population in Yerevan, and we have several billionaires in Yerevan. And my friend from New York tells me, look, we should be like our political leaders. They know how to earn money, they know how to monetize the product. They are becoming billionaires with 1 billion population. And how are they driving for GG? Soon we'll be. So
they pick them up at least.
GG billionaires, it's a good PR company, right? So if you understand market cap of your business, yes, and if you're estimating it the right way, I think starting from Yerevan, from 1 million city, can become very big start, and Thanatos Ventures after that will help you to increase globally. Thank you.
Yeah, Granados is a great example of a company that, again, we met originally in San Francisco a few years ago when it was just getting started at the Armtech, and that's it. And I've seen it grow and grow and grow and grow.
Just as a question, just because I'm not familiar with the local market, let's say you have a product or an idea that works in Yerevan. What would be the closest adjacent market you think that would make most sense to go? It's a tough question because it's specific. There might be different things, but generally speaking, what's the most similar kind of closest market available?
He went to Cuba, right? He went to Cuba.
Do you mean all of Yerevan or do you mean all of Armenia? Out of Armenia. I think the most closest country, and by mind it as we are in Georgia and Iran, of course, and the Iran market is really huge. And I think we are not focusing on that market. So I think we have here, like every company is doing the same. We are all trying to push the product from Yerevan to San Francisco directly. So we should try to maybe to push this into Georgia or into the Tehran, into the Iran. And after that to think, because in that there is like big gap, still big gap. I mean, like there is more competition there. There's more harder to fight there. So for our companies, we are trying to right now to, like for our new part, we definitely will go to Georgia and Iran market.
Yeah, and another thing I also say is, go ahead.
I was going to ask, so let's say Georgia and Iran are the next closest.
Russia.
CIS and all that. What would be the most effective way for someone to make that transition? What resources are available for someone to say, hey, I have something that's working here, I think it could work elsewhere, either within the Armenian tech community or abroad? What would be the most kind of easiest way to do that?
Okay. So what the question was like, what's the most effective way?
Yeah, like, so is there let's say, for example, a social network of Armenians in Iran that you can reach out to?
I think we have really big advantage here. Like it's not happened by like in a good way, but right now we have like big communities in everywhere. Even if you will try to do business in Ethiopia, you can find some Armenians there. I think so. We should more focus on this. Like, and it will be like those network for childs. This should be created the same way for the Armenian businessmen. Like the network of Armenian businessmen who are interested in partner up with Armenian company and try to, for example, do the sales.
That's what Hive is designed for. Is that correct? Is that, I did believe it. So Hive has started that. I think it was started by the Hokkagan Foundation.
I mean, I think there's a good and a bad, right? I mean, I want people to be realistic, right? The Armenian sort of global ecosystem is very helpful for the starting stage, but that doesn't preclude Armenian startups or Armenian companies in doing their homework. Now, all things being equal, an Armenian entrepreneur or an Armenian business or an Armenian market in wherever, in England, Russia, US, will give you a little bit of a break. But if you haven't done your homework and you show up and you're like, you have a half-assed presentation with a half-assed idea and a half-assed whatever, you're going to get rejected, right? So it still is important for people here to understand that there's a bunch of resources online that get you prepared in how to present, in what is it, why would somebody actually help you? And as far as Hive is concerned, yes, that, Hive was created to be this global network. And by the way, it's not exclusively Armenian, right? They're trying to make sure that, there's at least one Armenian entrepreneur involved, or if it's not an Armenian entrepreneur, that they're going to do something in Armenia. But understand that they are investors. And investors, the entrepreneurs have to actually work on mitigating risks in the minds of the Hive investors that, hey, you've done your homework. You've done your homework. So don't think that because it's an Armenian organization that you're going to get a red carpet regardless of how prepared you are, regardless of how competent you are. So I think that's back onto the entrepreneurs to make sure that they do their work. And the last thing that I would say is that people like, Pachatur and Arman, they're very persistent, right? I remember, Pachatur sending emails saying, hey, take a look at Gigi, and, fortunately at that time it was like I was, just overwhelmed with my own startups, like crashing and burning and stuff like that. So, but the fact remains the same, that you have a willing ear to listen to what your issues are, but you got to do your homework. And I think that persistence always pays. And in the case of Arman, you go to the first virtual reality show and become one of the 9 selected in the entire show, means what? Means that you guys have done your homework, and I want to applaud you that you guys actually came to the U.S., with persistence, with making sure that you are, just because you're an Armenian startup doesn't mean that you can do things half-assed. And I just want to, commend you on that.
Yeah, I'll also say, as a gentleman from TUMO, Laura and the TUMO team came to me in New York, and they were like, oh, spending with the Armenian, it's great. And I was like, okay, we're going to stop this conversation because you're asking for money. And it's not a problem, but I really don't care who you are. When it comes to money, that's it. And so they did, and I was super happy, and the team, I'm an investor in TUMO, and I think they're doing fantastic. So it's an example. If you go and you try to pitch it, in the end, money has no nationality. Yeah. Okay, so let's wrap it up. So why don't we wrap up with final comments, sort of like the key thing on topic, like, education, what we think. Any other final comments?
I think we have a lack of entrepreneurs in Armenia right now. There's a lot of people who want to do something, but there's a little people that really do something. So we have to see these people and help them to understand that they are entrepreneurs. That's it.
Yeah, we already mentioned that trying local ideas probably is a good idea, and then think globally but do locally. Coming back to the education other thing, I think it's really great to have all this movement that I feel compared 5 years ago, and nowadays we have more talks about startup, business, etc. But I do believe that we should pay more focus on making engineer stuff here, like really deep and good engineers. And based on that engineer ground, I believe that people will jump to business. So I think moving to the direction of building more engineers is the right direction.
So this was my first time where I really kind of came to Armenia to engage on a professional level, let's say. I met a lot of people that were technical experts and people that are better engineers than I am, and we certainly need more of those. I don't disagree at all, but when I look at, let's say, the competency gap on the technical side, there's actually not anything that I can see clearly. But when we talk about the business side, customer development, business model, all that area is, I think, where there's probably the biggest opportunity for improvement. So I would say it can't just be on the technical side. There needs to be development across the spectrum. And if it is going to grow, to your point, PR, marketing, all these topics need to be kind of developed concurrently with the technical side.
Okay, so I say we do another create together, and let's say next year we or some within it we focus on marketing and PR and things like that. I mean, I'd be happy to fly back. I could bring some people. I know lots of people. So one of one of my companies that I own is the second largest PR and marketing website in the United States. So we got lots of PR and marketing people. So I'm happy to do that. So that's great how we can help.
And my comment will be like, do what's making you passionate. Like, if you are doing something just for making money, someday money may not come and you will like just drop it out. If you are doing for your passion, if you are believing to that idea, someday this is gonna turn into the money for sure. So we can say that's working like that.
Well, I think that's it. Thank you so much. Hopefully that was a good fire chat.
So while I got everybody here, thank you so much. This was absolutely wonderful. I think doing more things next year is great, but I don't think we need to wait a year. We're going to have more stuff. Hopefully this will keep alive and keep these conversations going through the next 12 months until we hopefully come back again. A couple of announcements. So we are running a little late, so we're going to take maybe a 35-minute break or so, and then come back for the next session. There's coffee over here, so please go continue socializing. But remember these questions. We have another page of questions and discuss them. We have a lot of time today and tomorrow to keep these discussions going, and we'll come back at 12:30. I didn't forget to say this in opening remarks, so I'm just going to mention this. I never introduced myself. I'm founder of, one of the co-founders of a networking group called High Tech. We sort of on the note of networking globally and trying to get connected with other entrepreneurs, this is kind of what we hope to do. I want to announce to the people here that we're holding a showcase in December in Berkeley. So we really encourage everybody to do the same trip that people did from the US to come here, to go the other direction and come and connect with entrepreneurs in the US and have these discussions there locally and showcase the product. And we're hoping to raise funds to sponsor up to 20 entrepreneurs from Armenia to come and actually connect with investors and other entrepreneurs themselves. So please look for this in your emails. You can already go to showcase.hitech.org to see some of the details. I'll put it up on the page so you can see the pictures from 4 years ago when we did this, which is where we met a lot of people. This is where Alan and I met sort of serendipitously. So thank you very much. Break, 12:30.
Guys, we're not shy. As you probably have noticed, we're not shy. If anybody wants to contribute to the costs of all these things, drop some money in there. And, right? I mean, we're kind of running a little short. This thing all happened in a coffee shop, right? As things with tech usually have. A lot of caffeine, a lot of sugar. And so we have coffee and sugar back there. There's some, really good stuff for you to eat there. And so the aim, there you go, there's 10,000, I sound like a 10,000, 20.
We accept US.
So it is important to understand that the spirit with which Create Together was started was that we're together, we're going to do things together. It's not, Narcissus and the, Father Ben over there are not necessarily the key, they're the instigators, but at the same time, this is your conference. We would even call it conference, like an on-conference. So, when we break, make sure that whoever that you don't know, you go and meet, put your hand out, and the whole idea is that the conversations after the fireside chats are probably even more valuable to each and every one of you. Thanks, and we're just going to take a break.
Thank you all. For those that are joining us a little late, I just want to remind everyone, go to digital.act/createtogether. That way you can ask questions live, and Ben will choose ones that he feels that the panel can address. Obviously, most of the time we'll spend asking the questions that Ben has prepared for us already. After this panel, we will take a lunch break, and then we will not be in this room. We will resume upstairs on the 4th floor, where we'll continue with the last 2 chats and the ideas discussion.
So you probably have figured out by now that this is not your regular type of conference. We started out with a performance, and then the next step after this session is another performance, but you guys are the performers. So I encourage everybody to participate in the learning of the dance that our friends are going to teach us. Everybody, Armenian, non-Armenian, Martians, if there's anybody in the room, we want you to participate, because that's the spirit of this conference, which is togetherness.
And a good note, as people are asking questions, please go on your phones and upvote. You know, it's useful to see what everybody wants, so you can always vote up the questions just to give a better signal.
Can I talk like this?
One last note, we are being live cast by CivilNet, so thank you very much, CivilNet. You can go to civilnet.am/live, and you can see this, so tell your friends.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us in our second fire chat titled How to Build a Global. You can't hear me? How to Build a Global Company. Is it good? All right. And I'm your host and moderator, Ben Toker, co-founder of High Tech. We have awesome panelists here, and I'll introduce you quickly since I'll dive in right away. On my left here, I have Armenia, co-founder of Tradia Studios, which created a very popular app called Shadowmatic. Next, Armin Saidi, co-founder at Wicaster, wireless device and hyperlocal cloud platform. Next is Georg Sargsyan, founder of Flexonic, global mobile gaming company, and founder of Salt. And I have here Ruben Vardanyan, CEO at Jume, one of the leading digital interactive magazine and publishing platform. And last but not least is Merusan Danielian, co-founder at TUMO, cloud-based talent discovery and team formation platform. All right, let's begin. I'll start with Ruben. So this question is in everybody's mind, okay? And I get like 89,000 requests to ask this question. How are you dealing with the fact that you are not the original Ruben Vardanyan? I mean, you know, at the beginning it was really good, man. What kind of emotions do you go through on a daily basis as being the second guy?
I don't know.
And in other words, if you deep inside, to your core, if you just ask this question, who are you?
Good question, thank you. So at the beginning, thank you. So much attention. So at the beginning it was really great because, so I am a boy from Yerevan, from Armenia, just born, just started my company, and everybody was Googling for Ruben Vardanyan. By the way, I go on rubenvardanyan.com, and the original Ruben Vardanyan owns rubenvardanyan.info. So yeah, just a small one. Yeah. And so actually, I did my SEO using that, and so I was driving a lot of traffic to my website, and that's how I got my business started eventually. But now it actually hurts me because it's vice versa. It's becoming tougher and tougher. But yeah, just to ask your question.
Sell that domain name to him.
So I decided to make a franchise.
Now we know more things about it. All right. Next, I like to ask the Georg John. You don't sound anybody that I know. look like 1980s George Michael, that beard. Please do tell us about you. Who are you?
That's a simple question. I think everybody knows me as an entrepreneur. I'm building companies. And actually, I have also someone who has named Diego Sargsyan in Russia, and he's also in gaming business. Wow. And yeah, this guy, I never met this guy, but he's actually big. He's a founder of Innova. So and a lot of people, mixes me up with it. And there was a bad article about him, and securely it was a false article, but the bad article by someone who said that he's beating up people. And some people Googled it and they came to me, are you the guy who was beating up the people? I say, no, I'm more like George Michael. That's why I had to grow my beard.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Now, this is a known fact. Everybody knows this, I know, but I'm just going to repeat it anyway. As you guys know, he's ranked as one of the best cricket players in the world, and is a captain of the Pakistani national cricket team. We all know that. But what else you can tell us? Who are you other than the cricket player?
Okay. So I play in Pakistan as a lay junior from Armenia. So I'm an Armenian boy, person, guy who, except playing cricket for Pakistan, also makes something from Armenia and tries to bring it to global market.
Any other hobbies? Any other things you can share personally?
Yeah, and except for cricket, also a bit football and table tennis.
Very good. You started your company Ycaster outside of Armenia. However, moved to some part in homeland, our homeland, which is beautiful, exciting, and inspiring. Thank you. However, audience wants to know: are you crazy? And from the scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the cuckoo, how do you rank yourself? And if you're not crazy, who are you?
Well, to answer that, I think I am crazy, and quite high level as well. Just to be an entrepreneur, you have to have a bit of craziness to yourself. But coming to Armenia was a very logical thing. So I think it's the only part that wasn't crazy about our decisions. And luckily, I have two crazy partners as well. And both of them very excited about being here and working and developing our product, part of our product in Armenia. And as for who I am Persian, Armenian, born in Montreal, born and raised in Montreal. We eventually started Ycaster in the UK, and we're crazy enough to try to change the way people access content through their devices without necessarily depending on the internet or a mobile network. So just to answer that, yes, we are crazy.
Very good. We love to have you as a crazy person here. Arajan, you have a fantastic app that won Apple Design Award, which says a lot, given the fact that Apple is huge about design. Right?
However,
now you have a story of years of work that resulted in instant global success. Great, huge. Now my question is, are you so famous yet that humans are stopping you to get an autograph on their forehead? In other words, are you Kim Kardashian of tech? If not, who are you?
I wish I'd be.
Of course.
So, no, people don't stop me in the street. Though when guys who are conditioner repairers came to my home, one asked another, do you know all these guys? I say, no. He say, don't you look any programs on TV, news programs? Probably they've sold some Apple Design Award reports. What else?
That's good. Thank you. I think it's a good start. just the appetizer, so let's dive in now for sure. I'll start with Georg first, but the question is, in a nutshell, like general about your companies now. Let's hear some more details about it. In a nutshell, what is your company story? How and what made you start it? And let's start with Georg, because since you were one of the first and leading startups in Palestine, which by the way inspired Narcissus and I very much to connect with the tech community here. How did you start? How did it happen?
Probably will take a little bit longer time to tell the whole story, but in a nutshell, I was hired at Lycas, Armenia, which was a great company at the time, and I was back from army, and I just instantly was hired at a new team. And the crew that the founder of the team was a Danish guy and became my friend later and partner. And he moved to Armenia to start a very advanced project inside Lycas. It was the new version of the chat. And this was my first startup experience because it was like a company inside a company. Our team ran very independent. And it was crazy 3 years of 7 days, 24 hours work. And after that, we quit Lycas and we moved to Thailand, me and my partner. And we started our own gaming company there. And it failed. We didn't raise any money. We couldn't raise. Yeah, we failed there. And there was a dilemma in front of me to stay in Thailand and become mostly part of a bigger company or have something on my own. My friend chose the first, but I decided to move back to Armenia, and I moved here and started Plexonic. And when we worked very hard and we built lots of games and then we built software as well, and that's how it was.
Thank you. Let's go. Let's do the full intro of the company.
Okay. So the company, I started the company in 2009. At that time, so I was doing so many things, man. So I had a iOS company, so we were preparing iOS games. So by the way, one of the games named Magipad, so it was in the top 10 section of the Apple Store at the time as well. Then eventually we decided, so I had a team, and we decided to find a company which will be a wall where everybody will be able to see. So it's like a wall you just visit, and if you like to leave a message or something like that, so you just can go ahead and type that address, see the wall, and find writing, especially for you. But eventually we then started to think, hey, how will we make it that big so that everyone can write something, and so the recipient can find it. So eventually we come up with the idea that it can be flipped. So it's like a big wall, not sliding, but flipping, like a book. And eventually we ended up after brainstorming with the idea of creating digital publication. And the next thing was picking up the right name. Jumag is the most powerful name that we could ever come up with, as you know. So that's how we started the company. And at the beginning, of course, it was really tough, especially when you are in Yerevan. You don't know how it's abroad, how everything looks like there. But after 2 years, we actually succeeded. We managed to get a critical mass from the States, and we started expanding the company. And right now, we have over 320,000 publishers worldwide, 50% from the States, including big names like Huffington Post. On a monthly basis, they're doing about 80 million views. And they completely switched from Adobe InDesign to our platform for publishing, and Cosmo, JQ, and many other amazing publishers. So that's the story.
Nice, thank you.
Well, we started in December of 2013, and the reason we started was the real issue that we would see with my partner in the companies we would work, and we just decided to come up with a solution to fix the problem among companies to, the problem was connection between management, teammates, etc. So we decided to bring to the market something that will fix the issue between the relationship of teammates in a company. Actually, it was in the beginning just a project that we would do after like work hours, but then it became more serious and eventually it became a TUMO. Thank you.
So in the case of Ycaster, the company officially started in 2013, but it was not meant to be a company in the beginning. Our concept came soon after the Green Revolution that happened in Iran, where the government had shut down the networks and people were left with devices that couldn't communicate with each other. So soon after that, the crazy guys that we looked at each other and said, could we build something that allows us to leverage smart devices, telephones, etc., to be still able to communicate in case of network shutdown. So we built it, and again, there was no idea of having a company. Some of us, my partners, had sold another company in the previous times and had a bit of money and time. So for 2 years, we built the hardware, we built the technology around it, and we tested it in our own businesses to see if there was a need or demand. And over the years, we started seeing that there was problems that we were starting to have a solution for. So it was really a passion project for 3 geeks, having fun, deploying this. I had another company in Montreal that catered to the music industry. I would use Ycaster with bands that I knew in venues that I knew to push content and build some sort of relationship between fans and or audience and the band, to eventually see that the marketing world is interested in this, and eventually see that telcos and operators are looking for ways to improve on communications and infrastructure. So this is our story.
Will you excuse me if I speak Armenian, because my English is not as good as I wish. Դրիատան ստեղծել ենք 1993 թվականին, ժամանակ դեռ 3 հոգի էինք, դասընկերներով, շատ դժվար տարիներ են 4 բանաներում համար Հայաստանում, բայց երևի էնտուզիազմը այնքան է, որ ստացվեց։ Անցան երկար տարիներ, մի պահ որոշեցինք, որ պետք է կոմպյուտերի են սարքել, դա մոտ 8 տարի առաջ, ու բնական է շատ բարձր բանկա որոշեցինք դնենք, այսինքն AAA shooter ենք սարքենք։ Մի քանի տարի անց հասկացանք, որ դա մեր հնարավորությունից վեր է և որոշեցինք մի էքսպերիմենտալ պրոյեկտ սարքենք iOS-ի համար, այդ ժամանակ iOS-ը շատ ակտիվ էր և նոր մեծ քանակի success story-ներ էինք տեսնում, որ ինչ-որ հաճախ անիմաստ բան են մարդիկ սարքում և մեծ հաջողություն են ունենում։ Դե մենք տենց անիմաստ բան չկարողացանք սարքենք, որոշեցինք տենց 3 ամսանոց մի բան մտածենք, իդեան թվաց թե հետաքրքիր է, բայց կամաց-կամաց սկսեցինք ավելի բարձրացնել, վերջը դառավ 3 տարի։ Եվ տենց շատ մատիկը ծնվեց։ Մենք թիմը մեծ է, իհարկե ավելի, մի մոտ 20 հոգի է, բայց որոշեցինք, որ 3-4 հոգին հերիք է այս խաղը սարքելու համար, ու հերիքեց։
No. But there's a subtitle. He says he loves his country, he loves his people. Let's continue with this. How can you build a successful global startup from a small country yet big-hearted like Iceland? What are the challenges and how do you counterattack them? Since you guys went through a long journey and find overnight success, and I believe part of that was creating a relationship with Apple. So how did it play? How did you find that that either network or that boom?
Actually, we just concentrate on making a good product. We're not looking to find some connections with Apple or whoever. More, we was not even sure that this will work, because we feel that we do something interesting, at least all our team likes it, but how the world will react, we never knew it. So we didn't find Apple find us. When we post our trailer, then some months later, we have a letter that the editors are very interested in this product, and they are willing to help us with the launch. And so I'm not sure we do a lot of correct steps toward this success. We just concentrate on the details of the product itself.
Thank you. Anybody wants to chip in? Any thoughts for how to build a success? What are the challenges? What are the things to grow from here?
I think it really has to do with, as you mentioned, building the right product. In our particular case, as I mentioned earlier, when we were playing around with the notion of Lancaster, it was not about a company nor a product. So it removed a bit of stress of building a business around it and allowed us to explore and take things a bit further than we would normally do. And I think those are some of the key elements of passion, challenge, with little funds and no expectations to try to build something that eventually and hopefully others will find interesting. Challenge-wise, there's so many, and we're still going through them every day. Coming to Armenia was a big thing for us, but after about 8 months that we've been here, I think we've overcome some of the big challenges. We manage a small team in Montreal, another team in London, and now the subsidiary here. So I think the time zones are interesting because we're almost 24 hours. So we have a lot of people working at the same time, and it's helping us. But the cultural barriers for us were the main thing, especially coming here. I speak a bit of Armenian, my partners don't. But it's about having the right mindset of wanting to make sure that what you're building, I don't think you start something saying it's going to be accepted globally and this is what you want to do. You're starting because you see something of interest for yourself and for your surroundings, and then hopefully others will adhere to it. And as you put this in the hands of others, it comes back to building the right product in the right way, and it will catch on eventually if things go well.
You want to talk a little bit about Austria and partnership?
There are many ways to build a global company, and I think the global is not the right word probably. I mean, you can be local and they're successful too, right? So for Armenia, whatever is outside of Armenia is global already. So basically, I think there are endless ways to be successful. There is no recipe how to do it in 5 steps. So for us, it was tough, full of challenges and struggles, and I would say it was mainly a learning path, and that's probably the most important thing for us. So looking back, last 8 years in Armenia, when we are founded here. Challenge-wise, I would say the biggest challenge for us was to build a team with the correct mindset and culture. I personally find that this is the biggest challenge in Armenia, that I think generally people don't have the right culture of work fitting to startups, and this is probably the biggest problem we're encountering every day. We're trying to change it every day, working on that.
I'll just add on to that, so I agree with Georg. So number one is building the right team, of course. If you don't have the team, just forget it. Number two, be fast, really fast, because it's not like, the lifestyle here in Armenia is a little bit slow. People are slow, and like, if you wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, you see no cars, really. So it's really too slow, and people are slow as well. And I'm not complaining, but it's the reality. And so that's why when someone from the founders, or maybe from the team members, or someone just go abroad, especially to the States, they see all the buzz and they love it. They start making it and they start working even faster. So in my opinion, it's very important to be fast and to try out everything really fast. So it's like, not sleeping, trying out and doing it really fast, because eventually, of course, there are exceptions, but in my opinion, it's better to try it fast and see if that works or not, and make the piloting as well fast, unless, because ultimately the team members will say, hey, we're tired of that, and the project will just stop. That's it.
Yeah, totally agree with Ruben's view that it seems time flows here a bit slower, and it's the biggest challenge to come up with solution and deal with your customers, which are like 12 hours away from you. So that's the biggest challenge. So you need to have a lot of passion to create such a team that should have the same patience to deal with something that's 12 hours away from that. And also, the absence of big market is the other challenge. Like, you come up with something and you're not aware if it's something up to date for a global market, or you're just dreaming, or you're on a false direction. So, being a part of the global community and staying in touch with reality is the other challenge, which is really hard to manage just staying here.
Continuing on that distance or being away, how do you connect and build a relationship with your customers, partners, while you're obviously based in here? And how do you adjust your plans and strategies this many miles away, let's say? So since as far as I remember, your team did a successful pivot from 10,000 kilometers away. Can you maybe talk about that a little bit? How did you guys find that out? How did you find the core problem, and how did you pivot it with the team here?
Yeah, sure. So we were lucky enough to find a partner, trusted partner, in the US. So it was really made our life easier, and also like often traveling and stuff helps a lot to stay on a track. And for pivoting, I think B2B business is kind of specific, and it's really easy to understand, like, if something goes not the direction you were planning, and to see how to fix it. Like in our case, we started with something which should fix internal problems with team formation, but eventually we understood that it's really great product, and I still think it's better than what we created afterwards, but it was really hard to sell, because main user of that product was some mid-level management, and they didn't have their own budget, so they should go with a long chain to CEO, CFO, then come back. So it took us 6 months to make our first sales. Then we understood that with limited budget company, it's really hard to keep going this direction. So we pivoted our product a bit, because the philosophy behind it is the same, just to have a healthy environment in a company. But instead of fixing internal issues, we just started helping with hiring. So we pivoted it a bit, and it became more recruitment tool. It was really easy to sell, because it's even bigger pain point for companies, and for CEO, for example, it's obvious. So they're open to give some money and allocate some budget for hiring, but that internal problem is not obvious for decision makers. So that's why it's really easy to sell what we have right now.
Continuing on that, do you guys agree, not agree, but do you believe that somebody has to be outside of that country representing?
I'll add on that. So it depends on what type of product you are going to sell. The B2B, I'll split it into two types, like big enterprises or just regular SMBs. So if it is SMB, like small, medium businesses, like in our case, we had a lot of SMBs up there. We were just paying $1,000 per year, and we were able to get them on board from Armenia. So there was really no need to travel to the States, meet in person, and sure, because in the digital world, you have a company in the States, and anyone can do it. You can go ahead and using the online tools, just create a company, and you can get everything, all the certification, of course, and start selling from the States. But you are actually physically here. So that's really possible. What is impossible is like the big enterprises. Like the deal we did with Huffington Post, of course, it would be impossible to do from Armenia. Because, yeah, we even met in person with the art director. So in this case, yes, but if you're just selling for a couple of $1,000s, I believe it's still possible to do from Armenia. But of course, you need to have someone working late hours here because due to the time zone difference.
Yeah, I agree. It depends on the product. Some companies are they need to also be in the markets they are going to sell to just to understand the market. And I think it's one of the problems that local companies are having is not having clear vision and clear understanding, because those guys mostly probably traveled very little. They didn't live in the United States, so it's hard for them to sell there. So I highly encourage companies or entrepreneurs to travel as much as possible, especially if they're going to sell in those markets. That's a no-brainer to me. And it's something that we actually didn't do in the beginning because we thought, we're gonna build a great product and then we'll go and show it off outside of Armenia and we're gonna be successful. But it turned out to be a wrong strategy because we missed a lot of changes, events that were going to happen in market, and by afterwards being present in United States or major industry events gave us deeper insight of what's going to change, what's coming up, what are the trends, making new connections. That was very important. So I think it's also a very important part of being a global company, right? You can be in Armenia, but you have to be connected and you have to be visiting and connecting personally outside of Armenia too.
Thank you. Armin, I have another question for you. Since you mentioned that you have multiple offices, same as Ruben too, I think it's good as well. How does the culture place? How does your policies, your culture, your team, and I'm related to that question. What are the biggest problems if it's overall your culture? How do you build that multiple locations or based in it?
Well, that is one of the challenges that we have. Luckily, the other offices are more or less similar culture-wise. So being in the UK or Canada, there's some differences. But coming to Armenia, it was never a question of saying, okay, we're going to bring our mentality completely here and just, have them go through the same methods and etc. It was more first understanding the culture differences. Just in the beginning stage, for us, what we realized that everyone here says yes to everything. So can you do this? Yes. And just to realize that, no, that's not the case. And make them understand that it's okay to say no, educate them towards that, and also educate them to ask questions. If you ever come to our offices, you'll see posters all over our office space where it's things that we want people to read and see every day, and that sort of instores or implements the type of culture that we want. So there's one that says, ask questions. Be nice to people, work hard, etc. So these are all the things that we're trying to do. But in the beginning for us, coming here, understanding how to work with them, and then getting them to do the things in the methods that we were used to was not working out. We just had to sit down with them regularly and discuss and come over ideas and just lunch discussions maybe once a week and try to understand what they expect, what we expect, and try to find a middle ground in there. And luckily, my co-founders, we all share the same type of mentality. It's about building a profitable business, but also doing this in the most enjoyable way, having fun and growing both on the business side and also on the personal side. So we try to bring that to everyone that is joining us.
Good answer. Nice answer. I'll have another question. This is whoever wants to take it first. Bootstrapping, angel investors, or VCs? What is your take? What is your take on it? And of course, feel free to talk bad about your investors.
Well, we don't have any investors. we try to do everything based on our company. We have a service company which provides computer graphics and animation services. So, as I told before, we're not kind of a startup. We're little branch in a little company which just make one game. So, no investors.
That's fine. That's part of the bootstrap. I mean, that's part of the bootstrapping. That's part of the you did it yourself. So you went through that route, which is great. So anybody else wants to comment, or shall I just change the question?
We are also bootstrapped. We don't have any investors too. We did work with other companies to finance our other projects. We did work for hire. When we partnered, we did revenue shared model, and yeah, that's the way things are working out in Armenia. There's not like lots of people ready to put their money in your company. That's the reality. Unless you are successful, right? When you are successful, when there's a rainy day, no one wants to give you an umbrella. But when there's a sunny day, everyone suggests you an umbrella, right? That's capitalism.
I'll say, so I agree with Georg, but I'll say if I'm going to start a new company, I'll definitely go with financing at the beginning. So angel investment, then VC, of course, and then the exit.
May I ask why?
Yeah, because you see the reality. So I'm more a US guy, so I like the US market. And the reality of there is that if you have the right connections, you have the ability to raise from the beginning, from the right people, you definitely do that, because the process itself will be much more smoother and faster. So eventually, for spreading your word and penetrating to the market fast, you definitely need to have some funding, some finances, and so to bootstrap it from the beginning, of course, there are a lot of exceptions. There are always exceptions. But for me, I'll rather go with the FTC.
Okay, let's keep it with you for a second. You want to say something?
Something from like TUMO's perspective. Right now we're raising, and we came to that we need like some ventures more than like angel in this stage, because again, B2B business specific, they may bring more value. They have like their portfolio companies that are our potential customer, etc. So from our perspective, it's more valuable to raise like from venture rather than from angels or doing some good stuff.
Okay, thank you. John, one of the questions here is, how long did it take until you made your first sale?
A year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you do until then?
Why? Because at the beginning we just launched our service completely free of charge. So there was just no sales, no way to make the sale, because we're not selling anything. So it was completely premium model without any free model, I'll say. Eventually we launched in about 3 months later, we launched the first paid plan. It was the silver plan, and we closed the first deal, the first sale. It was a year and a half.
So what did you do until then? Just like said.
So we were just developing and trying to get users to use our service, to see if it's the right fit, we're working in the right direction, and that eventually users will be willing to pay us.
So you guys didn't play below?
Yes.
You did play. Arajan, there's one question for you. How much did you spend to advertise your game if you had it? I think you answered the question a little bit, but I just want to make sure that I know they chose you, Apple guys chose you, but were there any fees, advertising, any promotions happened?
No, we have zero budget for marketing. So it was just Apple featuring, and our email list to different magazines and sites. That's it, without any budget.
That's interesting.
You're out of questions, huh?
No, I have more, but I'm trying to be nice to the crowd, because otherwise I'll talk like another 3 hours. What is missing, in your opinion, for Yerevan to become a great entrepreneurial ecosystem? That's very generic, very tough, but is there any particular, since you guys have quite a bit of experience already, is there any tips and suggestions, anything that, well, it's not a one answer, of course, but what can you change?
Education. Education, 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 number one. We need more developers, we need more educated people, we need more designers, we need more business development, we need everyone. So we need to get everything more educated, especially at the university.
Yeah, that's right. It's education. But there's also other side of the question, right? Who is going to educate those people, right? The professor in the universities, they are not, they have no any experiences to go and pass this along to the students. So I was thinking about this all along, long time. So I believe that the right way to go is to, in such market as Armenia, is go and support certain entrepreneurs, go and support certain companies, make sure they become a huge success, and then they will actually become the platform where the employees will be educated, they will spur on, they will create the knowledge, they will bring the knowledge. This is actually happening. It's not like it's not happening, but it's happening too slow, right? There are too few successful companies that are big enough, they have enough revenues to invest into, let's say, their own educational courses, or a bigger team, let's say 100 people or more. There are very few of them. So we need more such things, we need more such stories, and more targeted investments. Betting not on giving money, like small amount of money to all the market, but supporting certain companies who have the potential to become really big. That's, I think, is the right thing to do.
Coming back to the word education, I agree as well, but it also comes from, as Deborah mentioned, from entrepreneurs, successful or not, that could become mentors. Ycaster was part of an incubator in the UK, Techstars. And the first month you spend talking with hundreds of people that will help you define your business, bring it to the next level, whether it's on business, on technology, on clients, marketing, etc. And I think all of us here have to be open to talk with as many young entrepreneurs, encourage them, let them know that it's okay to fail, it's okay to try things, it's okay to, you have to do things. And this is what I realized here, at least with our employees, they don't take the initiative to do things. They're waiting to be told what to do. At Digitech Expo, I came late one day, and I saw our Ycaster boxes were not deployed across the room yet. The day before, I was there telling them where to put it, and they knew where they had to go. So they were just waiting to be told what to do. I think that's the element that needs to change. It's part of the culture, it's part of the mentality, but it can change, it will change, it just takes a bit of time.
Related with that, this question came up. What do you personally do to make that education, or what individually to make that? How do you make it better? I guess instead of banking on it.
You have to have time to listen to them and to speak with the team on a regular basis. In our case, at least once a week we sit down and we'll bring up any either challenges, issues, results, any topic, and we'll talk about it, encouraging them to actually voice their opinions. What I've realized in the past few months is initially when the team joined us, they started working each in their own silo. They had their own things that they were developing, and within 2 months in, they didn't see the complete picture of what they were building. Once everything was individually done, they didn't know how their part would interact with the rest of the company. So again, it had to do with education, letting them know that, okay, what you're building here is part of the big picture that we're building, and if you don't know what it is, you ask. So we put subliminal message, as I mentioned, across the office with certain sayings and hopefully questions that will remind them what needs to be done and how. And it's an open door policy as well. They want to talk about anything, we're there. Whether it's in person, via Skype, etc. So it's just a question of being there and listening to what needs to be done.
Same question?
Yeah, personally, what do you have to train And train nobody.
Yeah, but
What can you do?
first of all, we train all of our employees. Another thing is that we would like those trainings to be not as long or needed to be so long as they are now. But the reality is that when we are hiring a product manager, there are no product managers who have built any products. The reality is when we are hiring even engineers, I mean, the situation currently is not very nice because the situation in the market is that few foreign companies came in and they drove the salaries so high that for startups like us who are bootstraps, it's very hard to go and compete on the salary basis, right? And let's say there are like some students left around that we have to pick up and maybe some bright ones and try to educate them. But it takes time, it takes resources, and not always you are making the right choice. So we are worried about this a lot. So absence of, let's say with engineering you can find some people, right? Maybe you even can compete with a salary, you hire a senior engineer, but with the other professions, with other positions, it's a real challenge. For us, as Inflexonic, as a mobile gaming company, hiring illustrators, hiring animators, hiring game designers is very hard here. We have to do all this education ourselves, and it's something that actually slows us down. So we try to talk with some universities actually to accelerate or improve their learning course, but those guys are very, very slow and they're not ready to change because they have this established ecosystem. How the things are, they're okay with it, right? And maybe they're doing a good job. Let's say, I know they're getting very low salaries there, right? The professors, I'm not blaming them, but there is very little cooperation between startups, Armenian companies who need certain things, and universities. And universities are refusing to cooperate because when startups go and say, we want this to be changing, it means that those guys need to be changing as well, and they want to avoid it.
Thank you. I think that's good education already. How about mentorship? Maybe I'll start with you. Did you have mentors, and why mentors is important to startups? Or maybe not?
Yeah, I think they are. Because you're entering, especially when it's like you're new in this world and you're just learning and doing the same time. Obviously, you need someone to guide you, at least to say, don't do this and don't do that, but do this. I can take your hand to walk a bit with you and then leave. I think without it, it's the similar process when a person starts walking, like without mentor called mother or father, they can't start it, right? So it's the same approach here.
John, did you have any mentors?
Well, maybe we are kind of exceptions, but we have a lot of people who we trust, and their opinion is important for us, but most of advices that we got during our development stage is that we are doing it too long, you are paying too much attention to the details. So sometimes the best mentor is your intuition. So you have to do it your way sometimes, of course. It's a risky way, but we take a risk, and if we listen to all those advices, to all those offerings that we hear every day about how quick you have to do everything, maybe we'll not be here at this moment. So for us, the best mentor was our intuition. That's it. And I'll say a few words about the previous topic. So, of course, educating in a local company's ecosystem is a very good idea, and this happens anyway, but the main problem course, is lack of specialists and education, but this all comes from lack of teachers, as Georg said. And I was teaching too, but then I understand that it takes too much time, and so I think professionals can leave their businesses and go teaching to universities. So maybe the solution is to outsource this process and have a kind of a program to have good professors. I don't know, this is a big program, but maybe this is the only way to solve this problem.
Okay, thank you. Seems like education is an important topic. Everybody chimed in, everybody's okay with the education part. Maybe lighter topic. Do you allocate a travel budget for your team? And I guess related with that, how do you overcome visa issues? Since regards to traveling.
We're not going through that right now, so travels that we're doing is mainly around the founders, moving around different offices. We're still in early stage startup. We're 2 years into this. We're at the phase that we're building a team and product, and we're about to enter more into the business and marketing development of our products. But we do have discussions with our team in Armenia that we want to take them abroad as well, to learn with clients how to implement things, how to talk to them, and that will be something we will do eventually. But for now, really, between myself, David, and Shiraz are constantly traveling and trying to make sure everything stays afloat. But eventually, that will be something important for us.
We don't have a special budget for allocated for traveling. It's quite expensive, to be honest. But it's a good idea, I think. It's important to, whenever it's possible, we did take our employees with us to different events, and I think it gave them some insight, additional education, or understanding of the whole industry.
No, I'll change the question. Which is lacking more, right mindset or technical knowledge? Answer this.
Yeah, I think right mindset, it's exactly what we are missing in Armenia, because there is no business mind in people, and like one small example. I want to hire someone, he's a good engineer, and I suggest him like some sharing from my company, and he's like, I don't care about it, like just give me more money. So it's obvious problem that needs to be fixed to, probably it's part of that educational missing stuff, but I think we need more like business-minded people here to have more successful companies and more entrepreneurs.
Anybody else?
I think both is important. We can't skip one or another.
Don't yell at me.
You asked the question. So I think we're talking about the same thing over and over. But we should understand the reasons of those things, right? Why is that? So I think we should realize this is a cash-based economy country, right? So and it's normal. I mean, looking how the country is developed, it's a normal situation to be in. The question is what we are going to do to change this. And I think the major successes of certain Armenian startups will have the critical role of changing this mindset among the tech crowd. People need to hear that someone got stock options and because of that got very rich in 4 years. And this is such stories are very rare. Right? It's not like many people got, like employees got a lot of money by getting stock options, right? So if people hear that this is the case, they will start to value it, right? And That's why I think we are kind of in a very critical time where we have to have companies that are doing really, really well internationally to spread all this mindset around, so people understand that, let's say, working for a foreign company as an employee is actually a stupid strategy. It's not a safe strategy. The safe strategy is go and commit to a local startup, a local team, with a local founder, and join with them, struggle with them, but have much bigger outcome. That's what I believe in.
Thank you. Armenian, do you think that, since we talked a little bit about accelerators, do you think that accelerators are necessary for startups in Armenia, and the answer is yes, why?
I think they could be very helpful and necessary, not really, but it could be very helpful in the sense that I think it comes back to the whole question mindset or technical skills. So technical skills are available, mindset is not. If these accelerators could be part of the education that we're talking about to teach them the right mindset in regards to what the startup culture is, how startup employees are, what to expect, what to do, it could be extremely valuable. And with that comes mentorship and everything that we talk about, which, as was mentioned, it's important, but you have to be able to filter through and trust your intuition. Our experience in the accelerator program that we went to was extremely important because it helped us define our business and, more importantly, expanded our network towards our clients. So within the first month, we had our first client through the mentorship and the accelerator that we were part of. So that helped us a lot. So I don't know if that same thing could work here or not, or the same model. But typically, an accelerator is great, or an incubator is great when you don't have necessarily the network, access to money, and all these things. I think it's important for us. It was here. It's really a question of let's bring that startup culture that is present everywhere here and make people understand how it works. What I'm realizing with my staff, or at least some of my staff, is they can easily find work as developers from one day to the other. So it's the culture, the mindset, and they'll do their 9 to 5 if they have to. And I've been trying to explain to them, this is not what we're looking for. It's not a question of working harder, but just being part of the company DNA and being part of it and trying to make things happen where, in some circumstances, it's not what they're accustomed to nor want.
That's joyful. That's joyful. That's also enjoying, and it's part of going through this process. Is that, would you say this is, does it, I guess, take a toll on you?
Oh, absolutely. We were very lucky. Out of the first people that we hired, there was only one that was a bit problematic. And the reason behind it was he never worked for a startup. When I was doing the interview, he did mention working for a startup, but back then I didn't realize that Bed Construct is not necessarily a startup per se. They have a lot of employees, so I didn't make the link to that. But through conversations with them, he understood what was expected. And it's not about staying overtime and doing, it's just thinking in the right way, being curious and feeling that the company belongs to them. And we've talked about stock options as well for the employees, and most of them don't want. They prefer receiving a higher salary, and it comes back to the whole startup mentality. Is it possible to take the existing models that are being done elsewhere and replicate it here? It could be, but that's not what's important. I think there's more things to it in leveraging the strengths of this country and trying to discover what we can do here.
Thank you. Let's do the last question. I think we're all hungry now. There's one more.
I like asking live questions rather than typing. Quick question. I mean, there's a lot of literature that writes about the glories of entrepreneurship. You know, like we never hear about the failures. We hear about the failures, but for the most part, if you watch TechCrunch, it's actually kind of depressing, right? Because you see everybody's raising $100 million and $20 million and $40 million, and everybody's beautiful and everybody's making money and everybody's like, you know, ruling the world. Can you talk about the downside? Like each of you probably have had
bunch of personal, personal sort of challenges and pressures and whatever. We talk about that to give a realistic picture to people that are thinking about being entrepreneurs, people that are thinking about starting companies.
It's all about sacrifice. It's about what you're willing to give away in exchange of an eventual either exit or just a salary or etc. In my particular case, money, financial problems, I'm up to my fourth startup, and initially really not knowing what I was doing, but realizing this is what I want to do, but was I willing to sacrifice things? And luckily back then, I didn't have a family, was not married, no kids. My life was in a way that allowed me to do this. But eventually, I just ended a 6-year relationship because startup mentality does not really help with a family life. So the challenges are there. You really have to be passionate and really want to do this for the right reasons. And it's not only about money, it's about building something that hopefully the rest of the world will use. It's up and down. It's a mental game that you're playing with yourself. I don't know how many of you ran the marathon, but the real marathon runners physically can handle it, but mentally can they go all the way, and that's the whole thing. Same thing with entrepreneurship. I always compare it to that. Luckily, I used to run marathons. I've injured myself. I can't do it anymore. But I knew that it took time to train. It took a year or so to train. I was not going to run 42K overnight. And that idea, mentality, went to the whole entrepreneurship as well. So you have to be patient and really passionate and do the right things with the right people.
Yeah, I think it's a good question now. Everyone is talking about, especially in Armenia, people love like stories about someone getting rich, but no one actually is digging, what's behind it, right? So you choose us probably because we are considered as successful companies in Armenia. But I think each of us has a very long story of failures and struggles and challenges that we were overcoming every day. And like Paul Graham said, being entrepreneur is like being punched in the face every day. It's just you get used to it, and then you learn to punch back.
Like that was mine.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if he was punching you. I don't know. You are more into that culture, But I think this is I love that. I mean, United States have I think the best culture comparably to other places in the world. That they're talking about failure, they are analyzing the failure, they are discussing it, and there is even the FailCon, right? This conference about failures, and I love to watch all these sessions there. It's so funny to hear all these stories. It's not only funny, it's very educational. I learn a lot, actually. I learn more. Let's say Travis Kalanick, the CEO of Uber, he has amazing story to tell about his 7 years of barely making it, right? I mean, go watch it. It's amazing. I think it's very inspirational. And I believe each of us here have the same story. It's just about, I think, why you are doing this at the end of the day, right? And why you are in this. Because being an entrepreneur is a very hard thing. Founding a company is a 24-hour per day job. So for me, I think it was a very critical moment to realize what's the real reason why I do this. And it was never money. It was not clear in the beginning, but when I realized, for me, it's to become the best of myself. That's what I want to do. And this is something that keeps me going every day, and I think it's very important that everyone finds for himself the real reason, and it should be a very solid one.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask, let's wrap up the conversation with last question and just go forward. We started with who you are, right? And now let's end with what's next to you and the company. plan? What's TUMO?
Meaning like perspectives of company. Yeah.
Growing. What are the plans? What are the things you plan on in the future?
Yeah. Okay. So I see TUMO as leader of the square, like where we are, like a part of each company who uses right for us to hire people. So it's a big challenge to be fast and ahead of our competitors, and we have the competitive advantage having engineers in Armenia. At the same time, bigger challenges there, but I think it's doable, and I see this TUMO as a company who well known as like hiring tool worldwide.
Thank you. Something optimistic.
I'll keep it short. Just becoming successful.
Oh,
That's like goal. So we're right now expanding globally, opening offices worldwide, and it's also tough. And so learning a lot, and yeah, eventually the idea is becoming successful. So that's it. And what I mean success, that everybody in the States, at least 20%, will know who the Mac is, or at least saw once the brand. So that's it.
Yeah, for us, actually, we went through a very long path of building like Sonic and building Solter, and we are reaching a very, very important milestone for both companies. And with Plexonic is we are delivering one very major game, and we believe it's going to be a hundreds of millions of dollars game, and we're very, very excited about the launch of it. And besides of it, there are other great games coming in, and I'm very, very thrilled about these games at last coming under Plexonic's name. Because before we worked with different publishers, with partners, the Plexonic name was always like under the hood. Right? It was not visible, and it was kind of, not fair. And now we're going to have really great products on the market under our name. Secondly, Solter. Solter underwent 3 years of development, and the platform is amazing. Just we did not enough to show off it to different app developers and game developers, but it's going to be changing very soon, and we are delivering a new version, and it's going to be huge. And I believe each of you who have apps in development or games in development should come and talk to us, because we really can make your life much easier, your development much easier.
What's next for White Castle?
Well, I'll step back a bit to explain where we came from. So in 2013 was about taking that initial prototype that we had and putting it in the hands of potential clients and making sure there was a demand for it. 2014 was taking the feedback and building something even better and raising a bit of funds. 2015 has been about building the team and the product, and now we're moving away from more the development concept to market development and business development, and entering into a few markets, one of them being retail, and the other one transport, mainly in aviation. So we're about to strike some interesting deals with airlines through partners that will be deploying our technology in planes, potentially airports, also rail. So it's a question of finally have gone away from having a toy to a real product that could actually be deployed with larger clients and larger types of projects, and continuing the process of learning, growing, and building the team. The goal for us coming to Armenia was to eventually put a stamp on the product that said made in Armenia. And this is part of the dream that we're trying to push forward to, and we look forward to it.
Arajan, how do you keep the momentum? How do you...
Well, we have several different interesting ideas, and most likely we will start with 2 games at the same time, maybe even 3. So it will take another years to complete. We'll see what happens next.
Yeah. Thank you. This concludes our session here. But before that, I actually want to give a great gift to everybody. They don't know it yet, but all of them agreed on to give their shares to all of the people over here. Yes, I'm getting the majority of the shares, of course, but it's all preferred stocks, so it's all good for everybody. So, naturally. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Lunch is going to be served upstairs. It's a la carte, so you get what you want, just pay and sit down. Please use this time to connect with each other. All the speakers have gotten to know each other well over the last few days. So, approach them. They're not going to be coagulating. So please engage with everybody. We can start now putting in some of our ideas into the ideation session. Now that you've gotten some idea of how the Q&A session works, while you're at lunch, look at the 4 idea chats on the pigeonhole, start entering things, and we'll start broadcasting that on the 4th floor. So after lunch from the 2nd floor, go straight up to the 4th floor for the other fireside chat. So thank you, and see you soon. Oh, and we have t-shirts. Great to give us t-shirts designed by Sophia for sale in the front. So hopefully you like it.